Happy Thursday, everybody! Welcome into the PHNX Sports Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. You know me, it's your girl. I'm Makayla Perkins, and thankfully, happily, behind the Mac, we've got another queen in the building. Shout out to intern Caroline, who is producing TPSP today. I am so stoked. I haven't had this much girl power on TPSP in a hot minute. And let me just tell you, I'm 1,000% about to throw Damon under the bus right now. So hopefully he's not watching. But this is the first time in like ages that TPSP has been organized, on time, thoroughly thought out and planned. And it is all thanks to Caroline being a wonderful producer. So super grateful to have her producing TPSP today. I'm even more thankful that Damon is stuck in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Combine. And I finally have a producer that is on time for once. So I'm just kidding. I can't even say anything about being late because I am the queen of being late. So I just like to give Damon a hard time and throw him under the bus a little bit. Regardless, though, I am super stoked to be coming to you live on a Thursday. I know it's kind of weird, but in the name of transparency, Makayla, and I've never talked about myself in third person before, so that was weird, got into a little bit of a fender bender this past weekend. And so I will be spending all day tomorrow having my car repaired because I can't drive well. So that is why I am coming to you live now. If you tweet me tomorrow and I respond, it is probably because I am bored out of my mind in a car repair shop waiting for them to fix my car. So I'll probably do like an AMA tomorrow on Twitter or something, begging for you to entertain me while I cry tears of boredom at this repair shop. Regardless, if it's a Thursday or Friday, we still have an amazing episode of TPSP planned for you. So let's get right into it. We have a little bit of an Arizona sports grab bag to start the top, and there's no better way to kick off a show about every single Arizona sports team than with probably the best picture I have ever laid my eyes on in the history of photos. Hit it, Caroline. Yesterday, this gorgeous photo graced our presence on the internet. It is a photo of Kyler Murray, Corbin Carroll, and Devin Booker all in one place at one time, their arms around each other, smiling. And I would be lying to you all if I didn't tell you the extreme amount of joy this brought into my life. Seeing the Valley Stars all together in one place, enjoying each other's company. I mean, I just look at this picture and I just think future. Like, this is the future of Arizona sports right here. And it's so cool that we get to be in a time where the future is bright. I know as Arizona sports fans, we're tortured. We're a tortured and sad fan base a lot of the time. But this picture brings me hope. And I hope that you all feel the same looking at this. Like, we finally have a great young core of talent here in the Valley to lead our teams to victory. I will say, though, look at Kyler Murray. He's standing next to Devin Booker, who's like 6'5", 6'7", 6'6". Like, did Kyler Murray grow a foot in the offseason? Like, why does he look so like the same height as compared to Devin Booker? I'm so confused because I'm pretty sure Kyler Murray is 5'10". So where is this extra height coming from? Is he wearing heels? Is he standing on a cinder block? Like, what is going on in this picture? I'm sure it's probably just an eye trick and he actually has not grown, but it made me laugh thinking about it because as he is standing next to Devin Booker, he really doesn't look that short.
I wish I knew where this picture was taken because of the 3 different outfits going on.
Yeah.
The leather jacket, flannel, and sweatshirt.
It was at an event that KD actually hosted. It was like KD has a company that's like a sports media company, and they put on a Major League Baseball event. And for whatever reason, the three of them decided to attend. But yeah, very strange that it was such a wide array of outfits.
They needed to coordinate. The invite needed to be a little clearer.
I'm surprised they're not in like a group chat, like messaging one another, like, "Hey, bestie, what are you wearing to this event?" Maybe that's just a girl thing.
It's called the Three Musketeers. It's the three of them.
Yeah. Just like, hanging out, having a good time, guys being dudes. I would have coordinated the outfits as well. So good to see them all together, though. Like Marcus said in the chat, Holy Trinity. Yes, that is indeed the Holy Trinity right there. A lot of Coyotes fans actually were wondering where a Coyotes representative was. And it got me thinking, like, what would be the Coyotes representative in this situation? And in my opinion, I think Clayton Keller would probably be the one that should be up there with the Holy Trinity if there were to be a Coyotes representative, which I don't really know if they deserve one right now because they have just lost 13 straight games, which we will get into in a second. No offense, Arizona Coyotes, but y'all are kind of stinking it up right now. So if there were a Coyotes representative in that picture, I probably think Clayton Keller would be the most obvious choice. But then I was like, well, maybe Logan Cooley, because Logan Cooley is like the future of the Coyotes, kind of like how Corbin Carroll is the future of the D-backs and so on and so forth. So I guess you could debate between Keller or Cooley being in that picture, but yeah. I'm not quite sure if the Coyotes should have a representative because, speaking of the Coyotes, they have now lost 13 straight games. They lost to one of the other worst teams in the NHL, the Canadiens, this past week, which marked their 13th loss. And they are now on a 5-game road trip, or 5-game road trip. And if they were going to win a game to break the streak, it would have been the one against the Canadiens because the Canadiens are terrible as well. But they lost 4-2. They lost by 2 goals to one of the other worst teams in the league. So the Coyotes' record of losses in a row is 15. So they're 2 games away from breaking that record. They are on the road now to take on the Maple Leafs. And thankfully, for whatever reason, the Coyotes have the Maple Leafs like number. Like whenever they're playing them in Toronto, the Coyotes just destroy the Maple Leafs, which is hilarious to me because Toronto fans are probably some of the most condescending, worst hockey fans in the league. Actually, they might actually be the worst fan base in NHL. So the fact that the Coyotes of all teams are the ones that can beat the Maple Leafs at home just brings me utter joy because I hate the Maple Leafs. So I guess there is a spark of hope that they are playing the Maple Leafs and there is a chance that they continue this streak against them of defeating them in Toronto. But it would not surprise me if they lost that game because they don't have a lot going for them right now. It's been over 30 days since the Arizona Coyotes have won a game. Morale is probably through the floor. It is probably in the basement, actually. So I am interested to see if the Coyotes can pull out a win and stop their skid. I wouldn't be surprised if they break the record and set a new record for losses in a row. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that Coyotes Maple Leafs game. Another game that we did keep a close eye on, unfortunately, if you're an Arizona Sun Devils fan or an Arizona State fan. Last night, the Arizona Wildcats were in Tempe to take on the Sun Devils. And at least they didn't lose by 40 points this time. Here's the game by the stats. The Sun Devils lost to Arizona last night, 67-85. As you can see by the numbers, the Wildcats just destroyed Arizona State, which was pretty much expected unless you've been living under a rock. Arizona is the best team in the Pac-12. They're 6th in the country. Arizona State has not been ranked once this year. The last time Arizona State played Arizona, they lost by over 40 points. So going into this game, the outcome was pretty much predetermined. Now, crazier things have happened. If you don't remember the crazy half-court shot buzzer beater last season that ended with Arizona State upsetting Arizona was wild. But for the most part, this was a predetermined outcome. Actually, if you wouldn't mind throwing those stats back up. Arizona State just got demolished in every category. Arizona shot 54% from the field compared to Arizona State's 34%. Arizona shot 38% from 3. ASU had 26% from 3. although Arizona turned the ball over more than Arizona State did, Arizona State didn't capitalize on hardly any of those turnovers. So it was just a domination on all fronts of the court. And it's not surprising at all. The Arizona State has just been having a rough year athletically. It hasn't been great for ASU in pretty much any way, shape, or form. And so, like I said, last night's game was a pretty much predetermined outcome. Barring any absolute miracle on the court, ASU was going to lose that game. They are at the bottom half of the pack for the Pac-12 in men's basketball. They will not be seeded within the top 4 with the Pac-12 tournament, so they won't have a bye going into the Pac-12 tournament. The wheels have fallen off the wagon for Arizona State, to say the least. They've just been having a bad season. You could say it's uncharacteristically bad, but it really isn't. Like, the Sun Devils have been on a downward slope, a downward trend for 3 years now, since 2020. Obviously, that 2020 season was abysmal, so I guess in comparison, the 2023-2024 season is a little bit better, but that doesn't give me much hope. And in case you were hoping Bobby Hurley, the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, would give you hope as well, you might be disappointed too, because here's what he had to say after the loss to the Arizona Wildcats.
Although we're not having a fantastic season, you know, I mean, there are teams that are freaking brutal, right? They stink, and they've given up, and they don't compete, and that's not what your team is doing. Now, I know we're all disappointed. We just lost to Arizona, no one more than me, but we might need a dose of reality and just realize that, you know, Arizona's really good. We didn't play anywhere near to an A+ game, which was totally necessary, and there's a lot of freaking bad teams in college basketball. And our players have competed through a lot of adversity this year, and they haven't quit. So I'm happy with my team.
Interesting argument there, Bobby Hurley. There's a lot to unpack. So let's just start with the fact that he said his team isn't full of people who give up. Sun Devils were down by 8 at one point in the game, which was a miracle considering all things working against them. And then they lost by more than 16. So I'm not sure what you were referring to by you don't have a team of people that give up, because they gave up, whether they meant to or not. They let that lead slip and they lost. So not sure why Bobby Hurley decided to point that out. The other thing about what he said, which makes me laugh so hard, is that he said that there are other teams out there, other basketball programs that are the worst of the worst, that like are full of quitters, that don't have any work ethic, that it could be way worse. And like the Sun Devils, while they might be bad, they're not that bad. Bobby Hurley, I'm sorry, but you being the leader of the suck does not make me feel any better. Like, the bar is on the floor, and you're saying that there are other teams out there worse off than you are, so it's not that bad and we need a reality check. Bobby Hurley, it's that bad. It really, truly is that bad. You have accomplished nothing at Arizona State. Okay? You've made it to the tournament a couple of times. I don't really account the play-in appearances that they lost, but you've made it to the tournament past the play-in to the first round once, twice since you've been here. You upset Kansas, the number 1 team in the country. Okay, cool. Like, congrats on those like notches on your bedpost, but like they're not really that great compared to what was the expectation when you came here. Like, you, by large and fault, have not accomplished much at your time at Arizona State. Now, there are other factors at play, and the fault doesn't solely rest on Bobby Hurley's shoulders. But to sit there after you just lost to your rival for the second time this season, regardless if it was less than the 40 points that you were destroyed before that, to say, well, you know, it could be worse. There are other teams that have worse records than our 14-15 sub 500 record, and we are not even in the top half of our conference, but it could be worse. are you okay? Did you hit your head on something? Like, did a vein and an artery in your head pop when you were screaming on the court? Like, I am mind blown that his first inclination was to get up on that podium and say, it could be worse. No, it can't. It literally could not be worse. It could not be worse, Bobby Hurley. Like, you and your team have accomplished hardly anything during your time here at Arizona State outside of a few marquee moments, like knocking off number one or making it to the tournament or whatever. Like, I'm just so beside myself that was what he chose to say when he got up there. Like, and also being better or marginally better than the worst is not something to be proud of. It's not anything to hang your hat on at night when you go home. Like, you're leading the pack of suck. You might not be at the back of the pack of suck, but you leading the pack of suck doesn't make me feel any better. And it shouldn't make you feel any better either. Telling us that we need a reality check is asinine. We have watched this program amount to basically nothing during your tenure as head coach. So, like, I think that was just so ass backwards. Like, that was not the tone to take on the podium in front of the media after you just lost for the second time this season to the only program that it matters to win against. Like, we've said it time and time again because, newsbreaker, I'm a Sun Devil. I went to Arizona State. If you lose every single game of your season, but you just beat the Arizona Wildcats, that's a win of a season. So you don't even have that to hang your head on, like your hat on, that you beat the Arizona Wildcats, because you didn't. The first time you played them, you lost by more than 40, and this time you lost by more than 16. Like, I'm so beside myself, you guys. Like, I genuinely just, the only thing I can do is laugh, because at this point, this program is laughable. That might be overly critical and overly harsh, but I'm tired of watching this program suck. They've done nothing but suck for the most part for the last 3-4 years and even beyond then. Like, they really haven't accomplished much as a D1 men's basketball program, to be honest with you. So I have to take a deep breath and I just have to laugh, because that's the only way to cope with the absolute shit show that is Arizona State athletics that extends far beyond the basketball program. It's in every corner, it seems, except for possibly the hockey program, which even they are struggling after a good start to a season. So, Bobby, I just, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about that. I'm just mind blown that is what he chose to say. But regardless, we are almost out of our misery, because that was the last Arizona State home basketball game for the season. They are rounding out their season, and the Pac-12 tournament is in 2 weeks. And after that, there will be no more Arizona State basketball to suffer through. So that is my light at the end of the tunnel, okay? That's what's making me excited, is that I don't have to watch this abysmal product on the court any longer in about 2 weeks' time. Let's shift away from some of the negative and talk a little bit more about the positive and the reason which we are all gathered here today, which is the ownership in the Valley, which can be negative, but we're going to focus on the positive first. The good with the bad, you just have to take it and laugh, is the fact that Mat Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, has secured a All-Star game for the Valley. The NBA All-Star game will be here in Phoenix in the year of 2027, which will be the first time Phoenix has hosted a NBA All-Star game since 2009. If it helps for a frame of reference of time, I was 12 in 2009. So I am excited that there is going to be an NBA All-Star game on the way. It's only the fourth time Phoenix has ever hosted it. They had it in 75, 95, and 2009, like I said. I'm excited. I know that the NBA All-Star Game, especially after this past year, has had a lot of critical opinions surrounding it, and maybe the necessity of having an All-Star Game for the NBA, considering the product that we were all had to suffer and watch this past time around. But I'm excited. I think it shows that this team is in good hands, that they're in a healthy place. They obviously have a newly renovated arena. So they have that going for them. They have Mat Ishbia at the helm, who is doing everything in his power to make the Suns a once again respected organization within the NBA after Robert Sarver did everything he could to sully the reputation of the Suns. Sully. I say that like a medieval, like, don't you sully your reputation. Oh, I hated that. But I'm excited that the Suns have a great owner, and it's proof once again that the NBA All-Star Game is coming here, that the Suns are finally in the right hands. Mat Ishbia is also the WNBA All-Star Game is going to be is here 2024. He's building a brand new practice facility and training facility for the Mercury. Like, the accomplishments to what Mat Ishbia has already achieved in his short time as the owner of the Suns is a laundry list of items, which is crazy to think about because it's only been a year since Mat Ishbia brought this team. Like, this time last year, Mat Ishbia took the helm of the Phoenix Suns, and what he has accomplished in that year is actually wild. Like I was saying, the new training facility for the Mercury, the 2 All-Star games that he's brought to the Valley, like the Kevin Durant, like investing in the Merc by getting great players here, new coaching staff, getting free Suns games to the people in the Valley for the first time in forever after he freed them from the clutches of Bally's. Like, it just, the limit does not exist as to what Mat Ishbia has accomplished for the Suns and the Mercury as his time as an owner in just a year. I'm excited for the All-Star Game being here in Phoenix. I know, like I said, it can be a contentious topic considering the product of which the NBA All-Star Game is. But anything to bring people to the Valley, to support businesses, local businesses, get money pumped into the economy, I'm always here for it. I'm not about to turn TPSP into an economy podcast, but having an All-Star Game in your city or anything of the likes can never really be a bad thing, aside from the traffic. I am not a fan of the traffic that is already terrible in Phoenix, which is somehow made even worse, as if it could get worse, by the events that come here. But I digress. I will take the traffic if it means having my city as a representative for something to the likes of the NBA All-Star Game, to show off Phoenix, to have the stars of the NBA come here, I think is really cool. 2027 is 3 years away. I don't know what I'll be doing in 3 years, but I can guarantee you I will be there. If I am still in Arizona, which I don't know why I wouldn't be, because you would literally have to pry me out of the state. Like, I love Arizona and Phoenix that much. Like, you would have to drag me out with my claws in the desert ground. So what about you, Caroline? Are you excited for the All-Star Game?
I think it's like this when the Super Bowl was here and now they're adding all these things. It's so fun. So we have such a great place. Why not have everyone come see it?
Yeah, truly. It is so true. I went to the Super Bowl last year when it was in Phoenix, and then I went again this past year when it was in Vegas. And the absolute stark difference between Phoenix as a host city for events like this and Vegas was mind blowing. Like, I don't know if I'm just jaded because I absolutely hate Las Vegas and everything that it is, but it was a mess. Like, Vegas was disorganized. It took 5 years to get to anything because it was so spread out, even though all of it was within the strip, I guess you could say. And like ours was kind of spread out in terms of like Glendale being the site of the game and like everything else happening in like Phoenix and Scottsdale. It was so much easier to get to stuff here than it was in Vegas. Like, Vegas was an actual shit show of a city to host events like that. You would not pay me. There's not enough money in the world you could pay me to go back to cover an event in Vegas because that's how bad it was put on. It was so disorganized. It was such a shit show. There really isn't a lot going for Vegas unless you like to drink and gamble, which sounds like a good time in theory, but I can tell you it gets old after a while. So I agree that Phoenix is a great city to host things like this. The Final Four is going to be here in April, which I've been to a Final Four that was here however many years ago. And it's just a great time. I think Phoenix does a great job with these events. And I'm so glad that we have an owner that recognizes that our city has something of value to offer and that we can show it off in ways such as the All-Star Game. And I am stoked that it is coming here to the Valley. Speaking of Suns games, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Game Time. They are the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason, because they have the lowest prices on tickets guaranteed. You will not find a better deal on tickets than on the Game Time app. They have tickets to everything: sporting events, concerts, parking passes. If you need a ticket to it, Game Time has it for you on the Game Time app. And our Game Time game of the week is You guessed it. It's a Suns game. It is actually happening tonight. On the 29th, the Rockets are taking on the Suns at home. And you might say, well, what's so special about this game? Guess what? It's a leap day of a leap year. Today is the extra day in February that we normally don't get to experience if it wasn't the 4th year of the last 4 years. I don't know if I said that right. But who doesn't want to experience a basketball game on leap day? You won't be able to say that you get to do that for another 4 years. So you might as well take advantage of that and go get your tickets on the Game Time app right now. I wish that the tickets were $29, but because it's the 29th day of February, but the tickets are actually $28. You can get tickets to watch the Suns play basketball right now on the Game Time app for as low as $28. Like, it will never cease to amaze me how affordable tickets are to sporting events in Phoenix. It is such a great thing that I wish people understood how rare that is. Tickets to anything pretty much in like Denver, for example, or LA or Chicago, like tickets are ridiculous. Like even nosebleed seats are $300-$400 in those cities, which you could say, oh, well, like Denver has good teams and blah, blah, blah. But like Chicago has terrible teams, and Blackhawks tickets, Blackhawks, the worst team in hockey, are still $300 for nosebleeds. So I'm so happy that we have affordable sporting events here at the Valley, and Game Time just makes it all that more affordable. So make sure to head on over, download the Game Time app now, use promo code PHNX when you sign up, and you'll get $20 off your first order. Terms apply. Again, use promo code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time, lowest tickets guaranteed always. All right. We talked about one owner who happens to be a decent, kind, wonderful, well thought out, put together owner. I think it's time we stop burying the lead and we talk about the owner to which we were all gathered here today to discuss. The Arizona Cardinals. Oh boy. The NFLPA has a annual franchise report card. This is the second time they've done this. Last year was obviously the first time. And the NFLPA sends out this survey to all active NFL players in the league and asks them to grade/rank various categories that have to apply to them being players. So it could be the locker room, it could be the training staff, it could be the food, it could be the coaching staff, it could be the owner, it could be anything within like the realm of what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and they rank it, they grade it like A through F, just like they did in grade school. It's the same concept, right? Like A is the best grade you can get, F is the worst. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. So the report came out, and great news, guys. The Cardinals, they went from 31st overall in the league last year to now a whopping 27th. Yay! The Cardinals barely improved upon any of the things that they have done over the year. The Cardinals ranked in the bottom 5 of 32 NFL teams in 3 of the 11 total categories, and the top half of the league in only 2. So that's not great. Let's take a look at their report card, shall we? Just get into it. Surprisingly and happily, the head coach got an A- from the players. Jonathan Gannon received the highest grade out of any of the topics on this report card. And as it is his first year as the head coach of the Cardinals, that to me is a great sign. I care mostly about the 2 top items on this report card. And the fact that their head coach got an A- is reassuring that they made the right choice in the hire, that they're moving in the right direction when it comes to their coaching staff. And so for that, I am happy and grateful, and I will take that A-. Now, glazing over that second item on the report card really quick to recap the rest of the things. Their food got a D, the weight room got a C-, the treatment of families got a D+, and the training staff got a B. There were some other things on there, but for the most part, they averaged within the C to D range. The treatment of families is terrible. That's something that I feel like could be remedied so quickly.
That's just being nice. Like, that's just being considerate and nice. I don't know how you
providing them with tickets, transportation, like just basic
a
things.
Considerate human being.
That you would think that they would provide the families of the players that they exploit on a weekly basis. But so that's concerning. And also the only reason that any of that improved was because they made minor upgrades in the off season, which includes providing a daycare and a small family room. So their treatment of families went from an F to a D because they decided to include a daycare and a small family room. And they also finally stopped the practice of charging players for dinner. The fact that they were charging the players for dinner in the first place just absolutely blows my mind because, again, these are humans that are putting their bodies on the line week in and week out for your entertainment, and you're charging them for dinner? I'm sorry, what? The club also decided to upgrade the Cardinals' weight room with new equipment, and they replaced the hazardous floor from last season. Again, you are a professional football franchise. Why is there a hazardous floor in your weight room that didn't get replaced until you were called out by your players for having a bad, not safe environment for them to work out? A little crazy. But regardless, the worst thing about all of this is the fact that the owner grade, aka the grade that they decided to assign to Michael Bidwill, was an F. And so I ask you lovely people, why can we not have decent owners in the state of Arizona? We have one good owner, just one. And before he came to take over the Phoenix Suns, we didn't have any good owners. Mat Ishbia is the only bright spot in the ownerdom, the ownershipdom.
Going very medieval. Very.
Yeah, this is just the medieval TPSP podcast.
Make haste.
Make haste. Good day, sir. Pip, pip, cheerio. Make haste. You can take this off. But I'm just like, why can we not have anything nice in Arizona? That seems to be the question of all questions. The theme of our existence as Arizona sports fans is, why can we not have anything nice? Now, listen, I know that there have been reports about Michael Bidwill and some of the decisions he's made. There was a scathing report that came out last year about his treatment of his employees, how he is quick to anger, how he yells at them. He berated a pregnant woman who was on his staff. So it's not like we were necessarily blind to the fact that Michael Bidwill is not the greatest owner of all time. But the fact that now his own players are saying, hey, he's just as bad as you all think he is, and he's not any better towards us. That's a concern. I don't know how Michael Bidwill took the news that his own players that he pays the salaries for decided to more or less put him on blast through a survey through the NFLPA and say that he sucks. But I can't imagine he reacted well. I have a sneaky suspicion that the male ego was involved some there and was wounded by that news. So Jose in the comments saying Bidwill has always been like that father like son. Obviously, I was not around for the Bidwill Sr.'s tenure as the owner of the Cardinals. However, based off of what my colleagues have said, he was a little bit better than Michael Bidwill. Not by much, and that's not saying anything really, considering how bad Michael Bidwill is, according to what we have gathered from the reports that have been released from that franchise. Michael Bidwill has made a lot of bad choices. Berating a pregnant woman on his staff is just one of them in a laundry list of bad choices. Being complicit in a burner phone scheme with former GM Steve Keim, continuing to employ Steve Keim after his multiple DUIs. Don't forget, there was that entire insanity that happened from their trip to Mexico City with one of the coaching staff, and a report of sexual harassment, assault that was applied that it was actually Steve Keim that was doing it, but that unfortunate coach took the fall for it because of a lookalike mix-up. Like, It's not great. It's not great. It's really bad, actually. But I guess like you would think that, okay, maybe Michael Bidwill doesn't have a problem berating pregnant women, but maybe, just maybe, he draws the line at treating the players that he employs and pays a salary for, and for a lack of a better term, is an investment. Maybe he draws the line there and he's nice to his players at the bare minimum, the bare fucking minimum. Maybe he treats his players well. Nope. No, it doesn't. Not according to this survey, which is so sad. It's so sad to think about that we have just absolute monsters, for the lack of a better term, operating and owning the teams within the Valley. Like, to me, sports are a safe haven for me personally. Like, it sounds silly, but like sports have been a part of my life since I was little. Like, my grandma is the reason why I am sitting here on this podcast talking about sports, because she instilled such a fierce love of sports into me, encouraged by my mother and my brother and my family. I've always loved sports, and sports have always been something that I have turned to when I need a distraction or whatever else. Like, I've just always loved it and the concept of what being a team and winning as a team and losing as a team means. So call me naive, which I am sometimes. It's just disappointing that the things that I turn to, like being a fan of a team, the Suns, the Diamondbacks, the Coyotes, the Cardinals, is sullied by shit humans, again, for lack of a better term, that own these teams. Like, Robert Sarver was a horrible human. Sorry. I don't think that's bad to say. He was a horrible human. Ken Kendrick, not much better from what I've heard and seen and experienced. The first thing he decided to do this spring training, at the start of spring training, was emphasis on thinly veil threats of moving the Diamondbacks out of Arizona if they don't get a new stadium. Thanks, Ken Kendrick. Wait to kick it off on a positive note. Don't even get me started on the Morellos. My God. They actually might be worse than Sarver, to be honest with you. I worked for the Coyotes, so I am speaking from my own experience. Never had a single positive experience with anything that had to do with the Morellos. And I know people that work for the Coyotes. That continues to be the theme. They have done absolutely nothing to instill fan base faith in them, considering how they've handled the entire shit show of this arena that has happened for the past however many years. So the fact that now we have yet another glaring in our face issue with an owner in this Valley being brought to attention by us, by the very players that he employs, by ranking him an F. Not even a C, which is just barely passable. Not even a D, which is still failing, but an F. The worst possible category you could assign to an owner was given to Michael Bidwill by his players. Is just so discouraging. Like, why can we not have a good owner? Like I said, until Mat Ishbia, who bought the Suns just a year ago, we had no good owners in the Valley. And I don't think we were ever really like talking about it to the degree of which we were until the NBA launched an investigation into Robert Sarver. And that really like set off the conversations of what are the owners in this Valley doing? I just like, it's so frustrating to me that the teams that I love and adore, I'm having to support them vicariously through an owner who sucks. Like, that's just what it chalks up to. And like, I know that sounds silly and you guys are like, well, it is what it is. Like, you have to deal with the owner. They paid for the team. They own the team, whatever. But I really don't think we do. Like, I think a lot of what happened with Robert Sarver was spurred on and encouraged by the reaction of the fans to the investigation and the reports that came out. There was such an uproar and an upcry from the fans of the Phoenix Suns that there was no going back. There was nothing that Robert Sarver could do, nothing he could atone for that would have made the Phoenix Suns fans okay with him continuing to own the team. Like, the Suns fans drew a line in the sand and they were like, we do not want this man to be our owner. They were very, very boisterous about it all over the internet. Anywhere you looked that there was a Suns fan, if you asked them about Robert Sarver, it was negative. So there was really nothing Robert Sarver could have done to turn back, to be like, hey, just kidding, I'm sorry, I'm going to fix this situation. Phoenix Suns fans weren't having it. And now I'm not suggesting a coup. I'm not saying that we have to uprise. This is such a medieval podcast. Are you kidding me? A coup? Where did I pull that out from?
These are like words you never hear. These perfect examples.
But yeah, I'm not suggesting a coup, and I'm not saying we have to light our pitchforks and we have to light our torches and carry pitchforks to State Farm Stadium and camp out and demand that Michael Bidwill step down from being the owner of the Arizona Cardinals. But I'm just expressing my frustrations, okay? Like, it is crazy. It is mind-blowing to me that there is not one solid, decent human being owner in the Valley aside from Mat Ishbia. Like, what did we do? How are we this cursed that we have 3 professional sports organizations, each independently owned by different humans, and they all suck on the same level of suck as the next one? Like, what? Why? And I'm honestly convinced that there is some curse on this valley, and we have been damned by the sports gods for whatever ungodly reason. And until the owners hightail it out of here, the curse might never be broken. I feel like now the Suns can win a championship because they won't be rewarding a terrible human being with that championship. And so now the Suns, when they do finally win their first championship of their storied history, 70 plus years as a franchise, it'll feel good because the person at the helm of that organization who owns that organization deserves to be a part of it and deserves to have a championship too and have his name up in lights for bringing a championship to the Valley. Like, imagine if the Suns won a championship that year that they went to the finals. Robert Sarver was the owner, and Robert Sarver got to be the one to get on stage and talk about being an owner with the Phoenix Suns and be on a fire truck on the parade. Like, that would not sit well with me. That would be a tough pill to swallow. Like, yes, obviously, winning a championship is all that matters. So come hell or high water, I'm not saying that I prefer the outcome of the Suns losing to the Bucks by any means. I would have loved nothing less to see the Suns win that championship. But if they had, it would have hurt a little bit to see Robert Sarver on a fucking fire truck parading down the streets of Phoenix, knowing what kind of human he is. But I'm convinced now that at least the Suns can win a championship and the sports gods will shine down on them instead of like past rain clouds over Footprint Center. But yeah, just you guys, like, oh, it's so discouraging. It's so frustrating to know that even the players don't like Michael Bidwill. Like, God, you would think he would draw the line at yelling at a pregnant woman, but no, he even treats the players like shit. Like, it just is so frustrating and discouraging. And I don't know. I don't think Michael Bidwill will ever consider selling a team because owning an NFL franchise is so lucrative and the money that comes with that. But he sucks. Michael Bidwill sucks. Alex Morello sucks. Ken Kendrick sucks. Like, let's just call a spade, shall we? They all fucking suck. And it's discouraging. And I feel bad that not only do Arizona sports fans have to support indirectly through their funds of going to watch games or watch them on TV or buy their merchandise, support terrible humans, but the players also have to endure terrible humans. And it feels like we're just being ruled by tyrants, you know? And that sucks. Like, the oppressive feeling of being ruled by tyrants is not a good feeling. I can't imagine how anyone in Russia copes.
It's the feudal system, more medieval, lords and ladies.
Like, I just can't. I don't understand how anyone in like places like Russia or North Korea cope. Like, I guess they don't know any better. But my God, that's terrible that I'm comparing the owners of Valley Sports.
Comparison seems a little extreme.
This podcast has gone off the rails, but yeah, I'm just frustrated, and I'm venting my frustrations to you all because I think seeing in real time that report come out and the players throwing Michael Bidwill under the bus, as they should, because if they're getting treated terribly by their owner, they have every right to say, here's that F. But it just it just makes me upset because we're dealing with Ken Kendrick basically threatening to move the Diamondbacks out of the state if they don't get the new arena that he wants. We're dealing with the most incompetent ownership group person of all time with the Morellos and the Coyotes, who can't take accountability for their actions, who don't pay their taxes, who don't pay their bills, who slither and connive their way through being an owner and are so arrogant that they think that the arena vote in Tempe is going to pass with flying colors, so they don't have to lobby or advertise or encourage the voters of Tempe, who say what you want about the arena vote failing. I think it's dumb that it failed, but it's their right to vote no. Every resident of Tempe had the right to vote no. They took that right and they voted no. And regardless if I agree with that decision or not, which I don't, that's their right. And the Morellos thought that they had that in the bag. They did. I'm not fronting with you guys. Morello thought that this is going to pass with flying colors. We're taking a dump and turning it into an arena and apartments and housing and a shopping entertainment district. There's no way this is going to fail. It failed. It failed. And because he thought it wouldn't, he didn't do anything to help encourage the vote. He didn't lobby. He didn't advertise. PHNX was doing more to get the word out about the vote than the Coyotes were. And I mean that with all sincerity. Like, that is crazy to me. So we're already dealing with 2 just absolute shitheads. And now we've got a third. And we can't ignore the third because now the players are like, you guys, he sucks as bad as you think he does. Like, it's so discouraging. It's so frustrating. And I don't know if it'll ever get better. But that sounds so morbid and so sad. But at least our eyes are open to it now. I think it's worse living in ignorance. Like, I think it's worse having an idea of your own perception of what's going on, but to have it confirmed at least by the players, at least it brings light to the situation and it confirms what we all have thought or felt at least a little bit these past couple of years. I'm hoping that if Bidwill wants to hold on to this team with an iron grip, that seeing that report and seeing his F and seeing all the other C's and D's that litter that report card with all the other categories will be enough of a strike to his ego to where he'll say, okay, I'm tired of being within the bottom third of the league in every category. Let me try to make some improvements here. And they have said that they're going to build a new training facility for the Cardinals. And they've said this and they said that. But until I see some action happening, I'm not going to believe a word of it. But I hope that Michael Bidwill takes a second and he reflects. Mirror, mirror on the wall. And he takes a second. He's like, you know what? I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that my team ranks almost last in every single one of these categories. It's not a good look for me. I don't want to feel embarrassed anymore. So I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to open up my billionaire books and I'm going to say, I'm going to invest in this team and to making this a little bit more enjoyable for my players. Not charging them for dinner was step 1. Not yelling at pregnant women is step 2. And step 3 is fixing everything else on this report card. So maybe next year, my F will turn into a D. I can only hope, right? That's all we can do. That's all we can do is hope that what the NFLPA is trying to accomplish through implementing the surveys, which at the core of what the NFLPA is trying to do is to help the players. Like, that's what the NFLPA is all about. Duh, it's NFLPA. But the whole point of the survey, which is why this is the only second time that they've done it, is to hold the owners and the people that own the teams and directly affect the players who, like I said in the past, have put their bodies on the lines week in and week out for our entertainment. The hope is that this will hold those people accountable and they will do everything in their power, which they have a lot of power to do. Their pocketbooks are pretty deep. Will change and they'll fix what should have been fixed without it being brought to the public's attention through a survey that's posted for the world to see. But again, not everyone has the best intentions as a human. Shocking, I know. But the point is that hopefully the owners will fix it. And so my only hope is to say that Michael Bidwill takes this blow to his ego and is embarrassed. And hopefully, like Chris said, no chance he would have done anything without public humiliation. Yeah, like shame. Shame. The little Belle lady in Game of Thrones. Shame. 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 Like, that is what the public should be doing and is doing for the most part, because media has taken notice. People are asking Monty Austinford, the GM, and Jonathan Gannon about it at the Combine as we speak. Like, hey, did you see that report that came out about your owner? How do you feel about that? So people are taking notice. But I think they should continue to ring the shame bell. Shame, 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 all the way up and down the I-10 for however long it takes for Michael Bidwill to say, ooh, this is embarrassing. I need to change this. I need to upgrade the facilities and I need to treat their families better. And I need to invest in a training staff and I need to do all these things because I'm embarrassed. And it's sad, but Chris is right that nothing would have been done. No changes would have been made if last year's NFLPA report card hadn't come out. The only reason that he fixed the hazardous floor and got them new weights and provided daycare for their children is because of that report. So let's continue to build upon this progress, shall we, Michael Bidwill? You suck. And we all know that you suck. And we know how you suck because of these so wonderfully laid out categories that the NFLPA report card has given us. Let's see you get better. they improved. They improved. Okay. Credit where credit is due. They went from the 31st worst team in the league in all of those categories to the 27th. Congratulations, Michael Bidwill. You did it. You did a little bit better than last year. And maybe that's all we can ask for, because if Michael Bidwill sells the team, I don't think so. I really do not ever see that happening, at least in the near future. So if we had to deal with his tyrannical rule, then hopefully he can improve on the categories that have been so nicely laid out for him. And next year, instead of being 27, maybe we'll be 23. Wouldn't that be nice? Like at 23, maybe starting to push to like the teens. I don't know. Is that asking for too much? Maybe that's too much of a jump. Maybe 23 is a little too crazy. Maybe we should shoot a little bit for like 25. But yeah, oh God, I'm sorry, Arizona sports fans. I'm in the boat with you. I am paddling along Shit Creek with you. My paddle is dug deep into Shit's Creek. Okay, we're in this together. But yeah, God, we can't win. We just can't. Like, and I know that people said that about the Suns situation, that there was really no light at the end of the tunnel with Sarver, but there was. Something happened, something wonderful happened, and Mat Ishbia, our savior, descended from the heavens and rescued the Phoenix Suns. So crazier things have happened, but I just hope that at the end of the day, what results from this scathing NFLPA report card is improvement for the Cardinals, the people that work there, the players, the facilities. So at least we can say, okay, we might have a shitty owner, but a lot of teams do. I don't know if you guys knew this, but a lot of people that own teams fucking suck. A majority of them, actually. The fact that we have a good one is kind of crazy in itself. So I hope that they just take this and they improve upon it, and so we can be proud of at least the things that are on the report card aside from the owner. That remains to be seen, but we can always cross our fingers and hope. My mom has entered the chat. Hello, Mom. She says, there's my sweatshirt. I wonder where it went. Yeah, surprise. Here it is. I'm wearing it. Sorry. Good thing you'll be here in a couple weeks to take it back. Oh, guys, I feel bad. I hope that wasn't too negative. I feel like I just needed to vent about the crazy just shit show that is the owners of the Arizona sports teams. There is one positive, though. And that is the fact that we have another event that's not the NBA All-Star Game or the Final Four that is coming here, but it's NASCAR, and I'm super stoked about it. I actually just got notice today that my credentials were approved, and I will be at the racetrack out in Tolleson, the Phoenix Raceway. I will be in attendance for race weekend. If you didn't know, NASCAR is coming to the Valley for the Shriners Children's 500 race, March 8th through the 10th. It is the best-in-class fan experience, which mixes racing with family fun, and it is the perfect time to get your family out there, to get your friends out there, or even to go yourself. And if you've never experienced a NASCAR race before, you got to add it to your sports bucket list. If you're a sports lover and you haven't gone to a NASCAR race, can you really call yourself a sports lover? Because yes, NASCAR is a sport. Let me tell you, I took a couple laps in a pace car and I almost passed out. Okay. And that was a pace car. So I can only imagine what it is like being in that car with the temperatures that I experienced, turning left so violently. I used to laugh, okay? Don't get me wrong. I used to say all they do is turn left. Like, what's the deal? They turn left so hard. It's actually kind of crazy. The force on the body that compresses down on you when you're going that fast and doing the maneuvers that they're doing is crazy. They start the race 10 pounds heavier than when they end it, because they lose it all through their sweat and like exertion on their body. They're 10 pounds lighter by the time they pop out of that NASCAR compared to when it started. Like, they are athletes, and I used to be the biggest hater, and I am no longer a hater based off of the experience that I had on the pace car. And I'm a sports fan, so I will be at the races. I will be there on the 10th, and I hope that you will join me and go get your tickets so that I can see you out there. We can say hi, bond over NASCAR, because it's really cool. Like, the track is beautiful. It's in the foothills of the Australia Mountains. It's not that far from Phoenix. It's just a short trip down the I-10. The weather is going to be, hopefully, knock on wood, wonderful. So why wouldn't you go out to the races? You can get your tickets to the Shriner Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway, March 8th through the 10th, which promises to be a weekend of good vibes for the whole family. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. Cannot recommend it enough. I am so excited to go to my first NASCAR race, really and truly, after my experience in the pace car and feeling like I'm going to die. It was eye-opening, and I cannot wait to watch it in real time. I've heard it I've heard the sound of all those cars racing that fast, and the sights is just something to behold. So I am stoked for that, and I hope I will see you out there at Phoenix Raceway on March 10th. All right, guys. Charles saying the vent is totally fair. Okay, I'm glad that my vent was a little vindicated. I feel a little bit better about the situation. Now I have expressed all of my emotions to you all. As much as our owners suck, at least we have teams to support. And that is the bare minimum. But that cannot be said for a lot of other cities in the continental US. So I will take a win. A win's a win, okay? We have some teams to support. And regardless of the absolute shitheads that operate and own that organization, I will support the players and the people who are not terrible. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this random Thursday episode of the Phoenix Sports Podcast. Like I said, I'm going to be at the car repair shop all day tomorrow, so hit me up on Twitter and we can talk. I'm going to be bored out of my mind, but I appreciate you all so much. Mom, I will give you your sweatshirt back at your earliest convenience. Thanks for letting me borrow it, even though you don't know I have it. You guys are the absolute best. Everyone in the chat, Chris, Charles, Zona Tucson, Jose, Cougs. What's up, Cougs? All you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe weekend. And I promise next week we'll be back on Friday. Yeah, Friday next week. Bye, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.